Liferay is committed to community. We're committed to open source. It's in our company tagline, enterprise, open source for life. So we really like it when we have people around the world using our products in ways we'll never be able to use, giving us that feedback. So this year, we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary, as you guys know. And I've been at Liferay. I've been in the community since 2008, so I've been here for about 6 of those 10 years. So the first 4 years, I wasn't around. I was at a different company, and the stories I've heard many stories over lunch, over coffee breaks, at events like this about those years. So I wanted to quickly take a step back in time and show you guys what Liferay used to be like. So this is a screenshot of the Liferay website from 2002. I don't think we won any awards that year for this particular website. It was running on Liferay. It's kind of boxy, kind of not so appealing. I see many websites today that look like this as well. So it's not that you know the technology has advanced. People, not so much. So back then, Liferay was very small. Today, we're around 550 people. Back then, we were about 8. And so, a couple of these people might be here today. I don't want to call them out. They might have a little bit less hair, a little bit more mass. But these are the pictures of several people, except for Brian Chan, of course. That's Brian Chan in the upper left. He looks pretty much the same as he did 10 years ago today, that you guys saw yesterday. So he's still cranking away. We're very happy to have him. So now, where are we today? So some quick numbers about our Liferay community. So we've gone from 8 people and, I don't know, 100,000 lines of source code to 13 years, 550 employees, 130,000 site members, about 4.3 million lines of code. We have a huge partner community. It's really been built out. So I wanted to share with you guys some stories from today's Liferay community. So I have a short video to share with you guys.
I don't like to say Liferay community, I like to say Liferay family, actually, because really, when I got here yesterday at the conference, I'd be so happy to meet all the people that I met every symposium, every conference, and every DevCon, and that I can talk to a lot of fantastic guys, and I mean, I'm talking about heroes of the open source community. And this really is a family, because some of us know each other. Most of us we see just once a year, but it's like we have always been together.
I started working with Liferay probably since the end of 2008 and 2009. I remember initially I was a rookie, so I started registering on the website, and I find a lot of people in Liferay community helping me.
For our clients, our community activity also very important, because with this activity we show our experience also to our clients or potential clients. Liferay had not until latest time there was not so many completed projects in Russia to show to clients. So it was hard to say, to demonstrate your experience with completed projects. In this case, these community activities helped us.
So I think for us, when we first started our journey with Liferay, we didn't really get involved in the community, and we kind of stayed very siloed, and we did our own upgrades. We got completely off the upgrade path. So we did an upgrade project and we moved back onto the upgrade path, and actually then really started to get involved with the community. What we found is that we could, like I said, we could get features that, otherwise we were getting developers to spend 3 weeks on and coding. Actually, someone else had already done it, so why not use that's out there? We also found for our development team, actually it's quite motivating, so when they can commit a feature back to the community and other people can use it, and they can kind of see that other people want it and they like it, that actually that's quite motivating for them, because actually that's, people appreciating their work, which is, always good.
I like the fact that if you're shooting someone a mail, if you are writing in a forum, if you're doing any of those kind of things, you get an answer. You get an answer in a couple of hours. At most, you get an answer in 4 days. And that goes from community, that goes from Liferay employees, that goes for the support functions, that goes for everyone. Coming to a place like this, coming to a place like DEVCON, if I say I have a problem with this, everyone will help you. The core developers will help you and say, oh, that's interesting. And if I go to a core developer saying, why does this happen in the code? He or she will look it over and say, that's probably a bug. And then a couple of days later, you get an email and say, yeah, it was, I fixed it. And then it's fixed. I haven't seen any other company where you get that kind of close connection with the other ones using the product.
We contribute because we know there's people out there with the same problems as us, starting out the same way we did. And when we started, we found out the forums, the community meetups, there were a lot of questions that we were asking and the answers were there. So we're trying to help people answer the same questions that we had.
Technology is always like a puzzle, so it's you want to solve those puzzles. That's one thing of it. But for me, it's also been about helping those other people to solve their puzzles more easily. So that I think that it's the power of the open source, it's power of the communities these days. So people solving those puzzles and helping others at the same time.
So it's really about you guys. It's not about us standing on stage giving you one-way presentations. It's about the breaks between. It's about the pinball tournament. It's about the unconference. Getting together, solving problems together that sitting alone you'll never be able to do. So we have a lot of people in our community. Liferay, again, depends on our community. In fact, we depend on you so much that there's core features in the product that originated in the community, outside of the company, like the very idea of communities themselves in the product, the multi-tenant ability to have multiple sites. We had a client a long time ago that said, I want to have 2 Liferays, and we're like, well, just run 2 instances. They're like, no, that's not going to work. They were small machines back then. So these kinds of features that are coming from you guys are really making a huge difference in our community. So where are we today? Some quick Liferay highlights from the last year. Does anyone have an idea of how many people from each country register on Liferay.com? Probably not. So here's the graph from the last year of registrations for Liferay.com. You can see United States and India, close tie for #1. And you look at this slide and you're like, yeah, of course, United States and India, that's 2 of the most populous countries in the world. They're obviously going to have more registrations than smaller countries. So let's divide it by the population. Does anyone have a guess as to the #1 per capita registration country in the world for 2014 for Liferay? I heard Spain. Anyone else? Okay, Spain is not correct. If you look at the number of registrations per person in the country, the #1 is actually Antigua, surprisingly enough. Small island in the Caribbean, beautiful beaches, beautiful people, and aside from it being a great location and a potential location for next year's DEVCON, it also apparently has a bustling IT industry of developers sitting on beaches, like coding away, making portlets, surprisingly enough. So, okay, forget about #1. Who has a guess about #2? Anyone? Finland, I heard Finland. I didn't hear that, but you're also all wrong. #2, Andorra, small country in the southeast or southwest Europe. They apparently also have a bustling IT industry. #3, Aruba. Should make our Dutch friends happy. I think Corne might have something to do with that number. #4, Anguilla, also a small island in the Caribbean. So aside from being really great locations and potential DEVCON 2015 locations, they also have another thing in common. They're all at the top of the list of selections when you sign up. Yeah. I don't know what this says about Liferay community members. You can draw your own conclusions. I've already drawn mine. I drew mine on the last slide. So, okay, so take away all that stuff. Let's look at the real, well, the quote-unquote real countries, those with more than 1 million people. And again, this year, Finland takes the prize as the top per capita registration country in the world. We have, I think, 6% of all websites in Finland are running Liferay, which is a very proud number for us. And Singapore has actually made a lot of strides lately, and they've jumped to number 2. We have a new partner there, and we've seen a lot of stuff happening in Singapore. So, yeah, so you can see the United States way around the corner. India, I don't even think India's on there. So we really like to see the passion in these smaller countries. And when I say smaller, I mean relative to India, China, US, because Liferay is a global community, it's a global product, and those influences that we get from these countries make a huge difference in our product. So in 2014, actually in 2012, we started to put user groups on Liferay.com. There was kind of a land grab that happened. People would just say, hey, I want to start a user group because I live in Andorra. And so they start a user group and they just leave it sit there. So the land grab is pretty much over. So this year we had 6 new user groups, 1 in the US, 1 in Africa actually 2 in Africa, a couple in Europe and a couple in Asia. So it's a nice spread. I like to see that kind of spread throughout the world. Our newest user group is the Croatia user group, which began, actually they started about a year ago, but they finally asked me if they could have some space on Liferay.com for discovery purposes, and they had a meetup, so I just want to share a couple of pictures with you. These guys are really sharp. They concentrate heavily on Liferay, and they sent me some pictures of their recent meetup. So this is the first picture they sent. Obviously, they have a very good idea of how Liferay works, how DevCon works, how DevCon evenings work. So they sent me that. Oh, did I push the wrong button there? Ooh. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, here we go. So this is the next picture they sent me after they had the refrigerator and important stuff that happens at their community events. So it's like, okay, that's cool. You guys, you like to have a good time. So send me some more pictures. So here's the next picture they sent me. And they actually got a sponsor for their event, and they set them up for a nice tent in their backyard. So yeah, so the guys in Croatia, they really know how to do Liferay user group meetings correct. There are many other user groups. There are many other events that we attend throughout the year. There are many other events where Liferay has a representation, but not necessarily corporate. You can see a list of them there. Several of them we just show up at, or we submit a paper, or a Liferay community member submits a paper, and shows up and kind of spreads the word. Many of our official Liferay user groups are also very active. I know the UK had several meetups this year. The Netherlands, of course, is always representing our open source community with events. So we like to see this kind of activity from our events, because when people gather in the pubs, in the libraries, in their garages, again, they can get together and make a difference and help each other. In Europe, I see a much more willingness to help out fellow, even competitors. There's a gentleman yesterday talking about they're technically competitors, but they're sitting together and solving some issues that they both encountered. So it's really great to see that cross-pollination throughout the world. Okay, so some more statistics about what's happened in our community this year. So on our forums are the most popular kind of online place, gathering for exchange of information. You guys many of you, probably almost all of you, have seen the forums or contributed to it. So in 2014, we had about 32,000 posts in around 99,500 threads. That's actually a bit of a drop from last year. It's about 4 or 5% less than last year. One of the reasons is we turned on spam filtering late last year. So I think that contributed to it. There's about 4,300 questions. That's when you mark a post as a question. 550 961 of them received answers. So we're looking at ways to increase that, that ability to answer. There's a number of issues. I've talked to several of you here at this event today about you know, how we can make it easier for you to find the threads, the questions that you can answer instead of looking at just recent posts and just hoping that you'll see something that you know and can answer. One good news, bit of good news about unresponded threads. So these are threads where there's, you know, a guy saying, hey, I have this issue with Service Builder, please help, and then silence for a year. That number has dropped significantly from 22.8% to about 18.3%. So we're heading in the right direction there, so I wanted to thank all of you for contributing to that, and hopefully with some of the things we're working on in the future, it'll make it even easier to do that. Issues, so our bugs. All software has bugs, including Liferay. We have a Jira instance that we use, and in 2014 we had about, these are non-Liferay employee bugs, so about 958 bug reports. Almost half, actually over half of them were fixed. We had 143 feature requests, so this is even better. These are ideas coming from our community, like the ability to have communities themselves, those kinds of features that our community has given us over time. We had 143 of those, 34 were actually implemented, so these are non-trivial, these aren't bug fixes, these are new features in the product. Maybe not making the highlight reel in Jorge's keynote from yesterday, but nevertheless very important for the person who filed it, and hopefully very important for others who won't see this bug or won't see this need because it's already been completed. We had about 73 unique core contributions, so these are bugs and features. Over half of them, again, were merged into the core. The rest of them are either in process or are pretty young. Were filed, you know, in the last month or two, and we haven't had a chance to merge them. Honorable mentions, these are people that contribute significantly to our community, to our core community, not marketplace, not forums, not translations. These are core contributors writing code, writing JavaScript, writing Java, writing whatever they're writing. And you can see several of the names there, and the numbers there are the number of fixes, or sorry, the number of bug reports and the number of contributions. So we are very appreciative of this. We actually give awards, which we'll talk about later. So if you have some knowledge in Liferay, which I think all of you do, we would really, really appreciate it, and so would the people sitting next to you. If you could take some time, some of the things that you've run across in the past, if you're able to fix them, please give them to us. Translation is another very popular item for our open source community because it doesn't require, you know, months and months of planning and so forth. We're very proud of the number of translations we have. They're not all complete. In fact, this graph was actually looked a lot better last year because we were very close to a release. So our translation team generally kicks in kind of, you know, 2 or 3 months before the final release. Of course, we would like to see it 100% green, but in reality, that's not going to happen. You can see the top languages on the left. I don't have actual numbers for this year because the implementation we use of Poodle doesn't allow you, doesn't actually track it in the database. They don't track individual translations with a timestamp, so we can't generate statistics very easily from this. But we can watch it over time, and there's lots of languages. Most of these little red bars on the left are not because of missing keys, it's because new projects are coming online, like audience targeting or Portlet Sandbox, or these things that we implement that we need help translating. And they're brand new. You saw several of them yesterday, and you'll see more today. So these are new features that are coming in without translations that will eventually need translations. So all of your translation team leaders, take note. If your language is on here and it's not green, then take a look at that. It's kind of like weeding a garden. As if you're the translation leader, it's like you want to keep the weeds out, pull the weeds, make the flowers grow. It's very, very rewarding, and it's very easy. Quick shout out to our security team. So Liferay is a very ethical company. We don't want to knowingly give you code that has security bugs in it. We might be willing to give you bugs, other kinds of bugs, not because we are trying to trick you, but because we don't have time. But for security bugs, we consider those very differently than your ordinary bugs. And so we have a community security team that actually issues patches to our community. Normally, Liferay does patches for our enterprise subscribers, and community edition users are left to wait until the next release. Our community security team began last year, and they actually create patches for you that you can apply, both source code patches and binary patches. Last year, or in the last 12 months, we've done 23 of them for Liferay 6.2, both GA1 and GA2. We will continue to do that for each and every community edition release. So we understand that community members are okay with waiting for next releases for most bugs, but for security bugs, if we find one, we'll take the download down until we can fix it. Okay, blogs. So last year, we opened up community blogging. So prior to 2013, only Liferay employees could blog. This year, or sorry, starting last year, we opened it up to everyone. And we saw a huge jump. We saw a doubling of the number of blog posts from you guys, which is great, right? It's knowledge that we would not otherwise have. People can find it on Liferay.com. You can build your reputation on Liferay.com. And so this year, we had 401 entries, which was a 57% increase over the prior year. Even after we turned on blogging last year, this year we still saw a 57% increase. We get about 30,000 views per blog, so it's a free resource for you to get your word out, to let people know what's happening, or to interact with others who have blogged, leave a comment, connect with someone from the Liferay community, and make a difference in your life and their life. So it's a very good place to work. Marketplace. So Marketplace, we did a new look to it. You can see several apps there. So in the absolute numbers from today: 350 apps, 240 third-party apps, 850 developers. We've seen a huge number of developers embracing the concept of a marketplace and building on top of Liferay. Many times it's open source, sometimes it's not. Most of the time it's free, sometimes it's not. We have about 23 apps that you have to pay for. We started with 0 last year, so a year ago this time. So we've seen a really great ramp up in that. We actually had a contest this year, and actually 2 of the winners are here. Of that contest. So we're really happy that they're in our community and contributing. Both free and paid apps were part of that contest. So we get about 12,000 downloads per month across the entire marketplace. Okay, top contributors. So we really like to send a shout out to our community, both the partners and individual contributors. So we started this program in 2012 to recognize our partners. We have 150 partners around the world. So this year we're recognizing 9 partners for their community excellence, and these are partners that contribute. They don't just sell enterprise subscriptions or services. They actually give back to the community. They don't have to do this. They're paid. They're trying to make money. They're trying to feed their families. And when they take the time to give back, we really like to recognize that. So you can see the names here. I'm not going to go through each and every one, but one in particular I wanted to point out. They're actually a European partner. So ACA IT Solutions in Belgium, they did a lot of contribution in terms of information giving, and a key member of that team is here today. I wanted to recognize him because ordinarily we don't do this for each and every partner, but this person made the trip to DEVCON after having some serious family emergency about a week ago. They had to rearrange their lives basically to be here. And we don't expect that from our community. We absolutely do not expect that, but we really appreciate it. So I'd like to call him up on stage to accept the award on behalf of his company. So this year for 2014, ACA is winning the Community Excellence Award. I'd like to invite Peter Massaten up on stage. Please join me in welcoming him. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Peter. So you'll find his blogs on Liferay.com. He's a very prolific blogger, both on Liferay and outside of Liferay. We don't absolutely require you to be on Liferay.com, but Peter made the trip, arranged care for his family while in his absence, so I was very happy to see him here today, so thank you, Peter. Okay, individuals. So a couple years ago, we gave the awards to partners, and individuals were like, well, we can't compete with partners. They make money every year. They get paid every day to work on Liferay, and we're still contributing. So these are our 2014 top contributors. We give away an award every quarter, and then at the end of the year, we kind of compile all the numbers and break it down. So many of them are here today that you'll see here, including Peter and Christoph and Dennis and Pierre. And the individual contributors for this year. So please join me in congratulating the individual contributors of the year. These guys are making a huge difference. Many of you probably know this guy on the right, Dave Nebinger. You'll see his name on the forums all over the place. Christoph and Dennis are here today, and Bijan and Nagul are not here today. Bijan was in Boston, and Nagul was planning on being here, but they had an engagement that they had to attend, so he was not able to make the trip from India. But these guys contribute a lot. They do blogs, they do bug fixes, they do contributions, core contributions, they do marketplace apps, they attend user group meetups, they help us answer questions on the forums. So it's really great to see these individuals who are taking the time out of their normal duties to contribute to us. So yeah, so it's really great to see that. Okay, so the future. This is the last part of the presentation. What are we going to be doing in the community in 2015? So there was a thread started on our internal social office forum. I'm not going to say the name of the person, Ruud from Netherlands. So Ruud started this thread, and the title of the thread was Liferay, Bringing Sexy Back. So we're bringing sexy back. We're bringing it back in a big way. So this is what we're doing in 2015. So you saw Jorge's keynote yesterday. You saw this Juan's screen demo. You saw audience targeting. You saw a lot of stuff about OSGI and modularity. And Liferay, it's a great time to be a Liferay developer. We're absolutely bringing sexy back. We're moving Liferay ahead beyond where the current state of the art is. And we want to be along for that ride. So we're bringing it back in a big way. This is where we're starting, Liferay Developer Network. If you attended Jim Hinkey's presentation yesterday, you saw a discussion about this. So this is our new website for Liferay developers, for you. This is where all of the wonderful features that you know and love in the Liferay community are moving, and they're moving in a smart and fancy way. We're adding new features. So right now we have, of course, the documentation. We have new reference guides. We have a Liferaypedia. So we've retired the Liferay Wiki from our community, and we're moving to a Liferaypedia. Liferay Wiki is a place where information goes to die. So we don't want that to continue to happen and have old content there. So we're retiring that. The documentation is in a new place. It's effectively a wiki because it's super easy to contribute now. There's a little green button at the top of every page that says contribute or edit on GitHub. Click that button, make an edit, submit it, you're done. And then we maintain it from now on. That's the best part about this is you write it for 6.2 and it will be updated for 7.0. So Liferaypedia is a great place to record your knowledge. Learning paths, so we have new tutorials and learning paths. We have an ideas dashboard that you can give us new ideas. There's a button on the right that says leave feedback. There's actually a dashboard of Jira tickets that you can see. So that's really cool. What are we doing in the future? So all of the interactive content, like forums and blogs, will be moving to the Dev Network. And we're not just going to copy them over. We're going to add new features like having a Q&A visualization, new categories, new moderators, the ability to have badges and build your reputation in the Liferay community, the ability to find threads that you know you can answer. There's a lot of great stuff. We're going to be moving that over when those are in the product itself. So in the coming months, we're not going to just do a raw copy. Blogs will be moved over. We'll have the new Alloy editor. I don't know if Ilian did the presentation today or yesterday on the new Alloy editor, but it's a super cool way to edit blogs, and it's the same editor we'll be using throughout the product. User groups will be getting a refresh. So right now, user groups are just a wiki page, kind of boring. They'll actually be real sites instead of just a wiki page. You'll have the moderators and founders will have the ability to email the people in the group. They'll have the ability to create events, upload documents, send out newsletters, real user group functionality that we're missing currently. And that Liferay itself already has these features. We just needed a better way to expose that. Podcasts and Hangouts, so Olaf does a Radio Liferay podcast that you guys know. I've started a developer hangout called Dev Life that we are doing every 2 weeks. Those will find the new home on the developer network. And finally, new community projects. All of the projects that we're starting, projects that you want to start, kind of like a user group. You'll have kind of a space on liferay.com. We won't do source code management, but we will have other features from Liferay itself to kind of manage your project, have members, and have discussions outside of the ordinary flow of our community. So there's a lot of great stuff coming on the Liferay Developer Network. So core contributions, another place that we're looking at heavily. If you look at a graph of core contributions in the blue line versus marketplace contributions in the red line, it's obvious that there's a lot of interest, a lot more interest in the marketplace, ramping up. Our core contributions have kind of remained pretty static over the last couple years. One of the reasons is best described in pictures. So let's look at a picture of the Linux kernel. So you can see the number of modules in the kernel, their relative size. The Linux kernel has a lot of history behind it. It has a lot of smart people working on it, and a lot of different modules that are kind of interconnected very nicely. So let's contrast this with Liferay. So you can see a bit of a difference, right? There's one module, there's nothing else. It's just Liferay. It's 4.5 million lines of code. You make a change over here, and you forgot you have to edit these 7 or 8 other areas of the project, rebuild services, regenerate, commit those changes. There's a lot of stuff to do to contribute to Liferay. Over the last couple years, it's gotten even more difficult to contribute. So, you've all seen Ray Auger, probably heard him last night. So Ray talks a lot about modularity. This is really cool. It's fantastic technology in Liferay. One of the things it's going to do in our community is going to make it easier for you guys to contribute back. So it's easier to understand a small module. It's easier to fix a bug or implement a feature with less side effects. You're not going to, you're going to change the blogs portlet. You're not going to mess up the asset publisher or vice versa. Many less side effects. It'll give you more confidence to actually contribute. It'll give us more confidence that you're not going to break anything. It'll be easier for you to write tests, and it'll effectively make it much easier for you to kind of become a stakeholder in a small module instead of a stakeholder in the entire bit of Liferay. So it'll make you kind of feel a little more ownership, be a little more proud, and be able to identify exactly what you're doing. You can see this actually in our milestones today for Liferay 7. If you go to the Liferay portal source code repository, look under the modules/apps directory, you can see the modules that are beginning to show up. These are OSGI-ified Liferay 7 modules like Amazon Rankings portlet, a bookmarks portlet. Some of these are maybe sample or demo or something you wouldn't typically use in a big brochureware website or something like that, but it's the beginning of a very cool road to complete modularity in Liferay. You can contribute to these individual modules without having to worry about the rest of Liferay. So it's really great. It's in the milestones now. So the new contribution process, I don't even want to talk about the old one because it's about 13 steps. You simply file a ticket, fork the repository, fix the bug, make sure your test passed, and you're done. You submit this to master. You don't have to go and try and figure out which engineer at Liferay is responsible for that code. You simply submit it to master, and you're done. So, get involved. Liferay 7 community beta. We're going to be doing milestones. We've already done 2 of them. We'll be doing another one in about 2 months. We're going to be doing them every 2 months. And we're going to begin in December or January with a Liferay community beta program that all of you can get involved with, kind of a structured way to review the features in Liferay, those that you're interested in, and give something back by providing reviews, submitting bug reports, and working with Liferay core engineers to make sure those milestones meet your needs well before the product is released. That's the best part about this. You get to see what's coming, and you get to test it in your environment and make sure that things are going to work on the day of release, instead of waiting until the release and then discovering that, oh, it's totally broken for me. So get involved in that. So Liferay 7 is coming, but none of you are running it in production. You're all running 6.2 or maybe 6.1. So what are we doing for our current Liferay community releases? So every 6 months from now on, we're going to start doing new community edition releases of Liferay 6.2. So we'll be doing a 6.2 Liferay CE GA3, which will include all of course, the security fixes, the popular issues that you guys tell us you want in Jira, and ones that we've discovered through our customers that we've already fixed, we'll be backporting those as well. And that will continue for every single CE release until the end of time. So then the next question, of course, is when? When will we see CE GA3? So I'm going to go on a limb and put a stake in the ground, and I'm saying January 15th, 2015 is going to be the next CE GA3 release.
I expected it to be a good time to stay around. You know, I just have to make an announcement. All of the dates that you ever hear from any Liferay employee are pure wishful thinking on their own behalf. There's nothing that ever comes close to true, and for that I'd like to have your short attention. You know, Liferay is very well underway, becoming modular. So Liferay is well underway, becoming modular. You just thought about blogging on liferay.com, about all the amazing stuff that you've seen here, and you're just about to talk about the Bitergia metrics dashboard. Thank you.
So Bitergia dashboard. Oh, that's a great idea. Huh. Okay, so metrics. How are we measuring kind of what we're doing? So many of you probably may not care. Some of you do about the current state of the community. I showed you some numbers before, but what about a trend? So last year I presented a dashboard from a company in Spain called Bitergia. We're working with them to develop a community dashboard, and we have a dashboard in place. This is a screenshot of it showing us trends about number of tickets, number of commits, number of unreplied messages, how many code reviews are pending, waiting for someone to review it. We are modifying that. We're doing a Bitergia 2.0 project, and this will be public on the web eventually when the project is done. We've just begun. And what we're doing is we're doing this, of course. We want to see these fun numbers. They're essentially a body count, like the number of registered users on liferay.com, 130,000. That means absolutely nothing, right? There's people that come one time and never come back again. So we want to look at more interesting things like how long does it take for Liferay to commit a code contribution from you guys? What's the average time? And is that going up or down? More interesting is something like this, where we want to see the evolution of people's Liferay careers. We want people to become experts in the technology that we're very passionate about. It of course helps you and it helps us. And we want to see people advancing from newbie to junior to senior to champion based on these definitions of these buckets we're putting people in, and then watching how these graphs change over time. So it's going to give us a really great way to make sure that we are moving in the right direction. I don't care if we have 150,000 registered users next year, but I do care about people getting jobs in Liferay, people understanding very complex topics and modularity, people advancing their careers and making their lives better through technology. So we're going to be concentrating on this aspect in the next several months. So we need you. We need you. We need you to, we can put a man on the moon, but without you, it oftentimes turns into something like this. So we need you to help us with Liferay 7. Make sure that this doesn't happen. Make sure that it works exactly the way you expect it to work, or if there's missing features, get involved with this community beta program to help us with Liferay 7. So I just broke my laptop. You can break Liferay in the same way, and tell us about it. Tell us what's wrong with Liferay. Tell us if you find an issue like this where you panic the kernel or you panic Liferay. File that bug. Track it. Make sure that someone at Liferay, someone in the community knows about it and can help you. It really helps us out a lot. Get on the Liferay Developer Network. Add or change the documentation. This is your new wiki playground that's now reviewed and curated by our Liferay community team. Rich Sezov's team will take your changes, put them in the documentation, and then maintain them going forward. So it's a very great way to get your knowledge out there in a supported fashion. So translations. They're very easy to do. If you know multiple languages, and I know many of you do, go on to translate.liferay.com, find a language, find a project that you can contribute to, enter a couple of strings. You don't have to do all 20,000 strings in Liferay. Do one, or do two per week. And pretty soon it'll kind of feel, like I said, like it's a garden. You're pulling the weeds and you're making the flowers grow, and you're making Liferay more accessible for people in these areas of the world that don't speak English, or don't speak Spanish, or don't speak German. And it's a very rewarding way to give back to the community, and it's very easy. Fixing bugs. So we actually have on the developer network now, we have a dynamic list of constantly updating bugs that are very easy to fix. These are bugs that are one-liners, they're typos, they're very simple changes that you can do today. And what this will do, it kind of makes you understand the contribution process of how to use Git, how to use Jira, how to do pull requests without having to worry about is the bug fix correct. So give us your ideas, finally. Tell us what you want to see in Liferay. You don't have to actually implement it, but go onto our ideas dashboard and tell us exactly what you want. We'll make that. We'll try and make that happen for you and make the product as best as possible for you and for the rest of the community. Get on our forums. Go write forum posts. Go respond to one. Search. Unfortunately, there's not a great way to say it. Tell me all of the issues with JavaScript, except for Google or for the Liferay search. That's one of the things we're working on. But if you can go on there and find some beginner issues that people are asking about, respond to them, and don't leave it hanging. Don't let a thread just die. It's very disheartening when you come to a new community, ask a question, and then you get complete silence. Also, join our Dev Life Hangouts. They're very interactive. Listen to Radio Liferay, and join our IRC channel. We have about 30 people there now. Ray Auger is one of them. So it's not a support channel. It's a great place to meet our community and get issues resolved that are very, that you just simply can't figure out. Just ask a question. It can't hurt. And it's a really great way to also meet and learn from other cultures, other people, other time zones. So with that, I will close and just thank you again for attending DevCon, coming to my morning talk, and I look forward to meeting all of you and seeing you out in the community. So thank you very much.